Hello, my name is Veronica and welcome into the Learning Lab. And in today's lab, I'd like to share with you one of the ways that I shaped the sweet peony flower. If you recall from my previous video, I cut out a number of these shapes using my brother's scan and cut. I stamped them, scanned them in, and then cut them out. And I used them to create some really unique flowers. And I used the small sweet peonies and the large sweet peony from Heartfelt Creations. And you will see up across the top all four of the different ones that I came up with when I was practicing. But in this particular segment, we're going to make some of those in addition to some new ones. So come on in and let's get started. Now, one of the things that I like to do is to cut them out beforehand. I generally do the majority of my flowers in white because then I can ink them or stain them to be whatever color I want. Using my Misty, I put in my template, stamp them, and I'm good to go. You could do a lot of pastel colors and then choose a darker ink in which to stamp the image from the flower. But I like doing white because it really makes these limitless possibilities. So these are 4 samples that I made beforehand, and I'd like to get started on sharing with you this one. When I started doing it, I tried to be methodical by writing down the number of petals that I used and the method that I used to create it. So, and for this particular one, I'm using the large peony. You're going to need 3 of the very large ones and then 3 of the large ones. And these are the 2 that I use, and that is from the large peony set. So in order to get this really cute ruffled, almost carnation look, and I'm showing you where I did not ink underneath the bottom of that. Again, it was my sample. But in order to get that particular look, we are going to take all of these and go ahead and ink around them. I think I stamped in a red. I can't remember which red I used, but I'm using some of the Martha Stewart teardrop shape ink pads. Now this is a pigment ink that I'm stamping on there. I'm sorry, this is a pigment ink that I'm sponging on there. And I'm not trying to be particular in where I put it. I just want some ink to show up because I want this to have a really variegated look. And by not carefully inking each and every petal, I think I can achieve that method fairly easily. Here I'm going to spritz them with some water, and the spray bottle that I'm going to use is one that came with Radiant Rain inks that I'd ordered. The company was closing their doors, going out of business, and they were clearing things out, so of course I jumped right on it. And one of the things that I could get was this. The mist covers a rather large swath when you spray it, and I really like this because it'll cut down. It'll prevent me from having little tiny streams that hit and soak the paper. So this is a nice fine mist that goes over it. And I'm just going to take all of these and pretty much wad them up into balls. There's no particular method to this, and I'm sure if you search here on YouTube, you're going to find this technique used by quite a number of people. I'm making sure that my petals are wet because the wetter they are, the more dimension that I can get into each one. So now, technically, you should probably leave them to dry just a little bit because these are really wet and you don't want to rip them opening them up. But in the essence of time, I am going to go ahead and heat these with my heat gun. And I'm using the one from Tim Holtz. I just need a little soft heat to go onto them just to speed this along and to help me get a better crinkle out of my paper. I needed to remove my magnetic mat because I have heated on top of it before and actually warped it. So I almost forgot to remove it again. And once these petals are all dry, I'm going to start to open them. It may be a little tough going if you ball them really tightly. If you don't ball them too tightly, then you'll have an easier time than I'm having here. If you want to leave some of the edges folded, that's fine too, because that's the nature of flowers. That's how they behave. So your flowers do not have to be absolutely perfect. And this is one of the larger petals that I am trying to diligently unravel. And it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick time lapse on this to get all of these open, and then we'll start to put our flower together. And this brings us to our final flower. Don't worry about the one that was torn a little. We're going to fix that once we start to put them together. I'm using some of the Martha Stewart craft glue to do this. I'm pulling in my mat because we're going to shape these as we go along. I have a plethora of tools here that I am going to use to help me. A lot of different styling tips available. It's a mixture of 3 different companies. So I'm squeezing a glob of glue right into the center of this flower. And I'm not being stingy with the glue. And then I'm going to take the next one, which is the same extra large, offset it a bit, and then use one of my tips to press the flower into the spongy mat that's underneath. And that's going to help to start to build the dimension that we're going to need to create this carnation-like peony. And generally, I will squeeze my glue in before I'm ready to put the next one so it can become a little tacky to set up. And here I'm having to unclog my glue. I know I shouldn't stick it in that way. I should take the tip off and push it from the other side, but I don't want to do that right now. I'm in a bit of a hurry. And for now, this will work. And I'm just putting that straight pin back into a piece of paper so that I don't accidentally step on it if it falls and hits the floor. So again, there's a puddle of glue that I'm putting down in there, and I'm taking my final large one and offsetting that using my styling tool, pressing it into place. And I'm going to continue to do that with all 3 of the remaining flowers. Here I'm trying to decide which flower I want to be the one on the very top, and I've decided that I want to be the more pastel one to be the one on top. So this one will go next, following that same method. And then we'll finish it off, and we'll have ourselves a cute carnation-like flower. Just giving it a little shaping. And oh, looks like I've got a rogue petal going on. Doesn't want to play nicely with his friends, but I'm going to get him back in there. And I'm going to use my tweezers and then use the styling tip to press it into place so that that glue actually has a chance to grab on. And I'm providing some additional pressure so that it will hold. And after a minute or two, it will set up and be fine. I think it's really, really fabulous. This is so cute. Oh my goodness. And it was just water and wadded up paper. And there it is for a nice little close-up. I really like how it turned out. These are really gorgeous. The orange one is a little larger because I unraveled it while it was still wet, whereas I dried the pink one and that caused the paper to shrink just a bit. These are cute. This is flower number 1. Please be sure to check out my blog at inkollusions.blogspot.com. Until then.